My sister was truly, deeply in love. She said, if I have to go station in Iraq, if I have to go to combat, I will die proudly because I'm a patriot and I'm serving the country. I am protecting my own family. I was serving my family. I was protecting my family, but yet she died on base. How can this happen on a military base where you think everything's safe, but yet the soldiers are not safe?
The family of murdered soldier Vanessa Guillen sitting down and speaking with the president today. This family has done amazing work to raise awareness about what happened at Fort Hood and the problems that exist there. Ted Rollins has more for us tonight.
Justice for Vanessa! Justice for Vanessa!
Standing in front of the U.S. Capitol with a crowd of supporters, the family of Army Specialist Vanessa Guillen poured out their hearts, remembering Vanessa and demanding change in the way the military deals with sexual harassment.
Now my sister is with God. She's in a better place. But then the other survivors, they're here with their families. But my sister's not.
Vanessa Guillen was bludgeoned to death with a hammer inside an armory room at Fort Hood, Texas. Before her murder, Vanessa's family says she told them she was being sexually harassed by her killer, another soldier, but that Vanessa was reluctant to report the abuse for fear of retribution. Her killer, Army Specialist Aaron Robinson, took his own life. His girlfriend, 22-year-old Cecily Aguilar, is in custody, facing charges for helping to dispose of Vanessa's body.
We need the bill passed in order to keep helping these military members, because at the end of the day, who's going to help us? Who's going to protect the nation?
Today's event, which included a march to the White House and a meeting with President Trump, was in support of the hashtag I Am Vanessa Guillen bill, which, if passed, would create a new sexual harassment reporting system for the military.
We're going to look into it very powerfully, and we already have started, as you know, and we'll get to the bottom of it. And maybe things can come out that will help other people in a situation like Vanessa.
I hope today's hearing will lead us down a relentless path towards swift military justice reforms.
The issue is getting bipartisan support. Earlier this week, a House Armed Forces subcommittee addressed the issue in a special hearing.
Women do not report because we fear for our safety, we fear for our future, we fear for retaliation.
The hearing featured stories from some of the hundreds of other service members that have come forward following Vanessa Guillen's death, and testimony about the current system in place that Vanessa felt uncomfortable using.
If she did not express the intent to make it a formal complaint, then that would fall into the...
So you're saying that someone would have to go and say, Sheila, you know what, I was sexually assaulted yesterday, but I don't want to make that an informal complaint? Someone has to consciously say that they want to make it an informal complaint?
She came forward and told her family members who she trusted that she was being sexually assaulted and didn't feel comfortable reporting that to her chain of command. And that's not uncommon, and we've heard that so many times here. We need to do something to change that.
The issue of sexual harassment in the military has been the subject of congressional hearings for more than a decade, and despite millions of dollars already thrown at the problem, it still persists.
This is my warning. Sexual harassment, sexual assault, retaliation are never acceptable. And until we get very serious about this, nothing is going to change.
Vanessa Guillen was only 20 years old when she was killed by a fellow soldier. Her family is vowing to keep pushing for change to make sure that Vanessa did not die in vain.
Thank you for all the memories and the special moments. You fought for us, and now it's time we fight for you.
Yeah!
You know, you think about it, where did Vanessa Guillen get that courage that she had, right? It's very evident in her family. Let's bring in Ted Rollins. Ted, so impressive what this family has done in terms of raising awareness. And, in the midst of a tragedy like they were in, you can just kind of quiver up and just, almost disappear because you've been devastated. But they've been able to take that to fuel change, which really is impressive and amazing, just like Vanessa Guillen.
Yeah, they were basically in the White House. They were in the White House today, talking to the President of the United States just months after they started this question. And remember, the first part of this was looking for answers. Where is Vanessa? And they have followed through. It was just an extraordinary day today because you had people on both sides of the aisle. Donald Trump on one hand, Jackie Spear from California, and other Democratic leaders on the other, all behind this family, all behind the question, what's wrong, what's going on, and what needs to be done. Something does.
Yeah, it's so obvious that there's a problem. I mean, it took worst case scenario to bring it to light, unfortunately. But it seems like there is a spotlight on it, and I would think things have to change at this point because you're saying the magical words, right? Bipartisan support. That is so rare these days that I think something will get done here.
Yeah, and they have a bill, and Natalie Quam gets a lot of credit here. This is the lawyer that has represented the Guillen family from the beginning, and she's been there throughout. She's doing it pro bono. She actually helped author this bill, which is basically delivering on a silver platter something to start with for lawmakers. And what's the downside? You know, who's against this? Who's against making the military safe, making it safe for our soldiers? Natalie Quam was in with President Trump today. Let's take a little listen. She was talking about what the family still wants. That's answers about what happened. They believe people knew more than they're letting on.
We're not getting all the answers, by the way. He supposedly took a hammer and killed her in the room, bludgeoned her to death. If you go into this room, the room is probably like a quarter the size of this room. And it's open, so people can hear and see things. So how no one heard her screaming, how no one saw the blood, those are like questions we still have. But when he did that to her, he carried her body out and he buried it in the river nearby. He used a machete.
Nobody saw this?
Nobody saw this, right?
And the family just can't believe that nobody saw this taking place. The FBI is now involved, along with the Department of Justice, and the federal government is looking at not only what's going on in military installations, but this crime itself, helping with this investigation.
I mean, it does sound pretty outrageous that no one saw or heard a thing. I mean, that doesn't strike you as normal. Now, we do have the defendant's or the killer's girlfriend is locked up. She may know something. That might be a way to lead to it. But at the end of the day, the investigation is continuing, and we'll continue to track it, obviously, here on Court TV. But I guess overall, Ted, I would say, a great day for the family that they were able to get to Washington, see the president, be heard, and make a difference in the name of Vanessa.
Absolutely. Just an amazing display of courage and tenacity to push it this far.
Ted Rollins, great work. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.